Assalamualaikum. In this video, we will discuss about gas exchange and its control. These are the outlines of this slide. First, we should know about learning outcomes, and then respiratory system of human, hemoglobin, transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide in blood, control of breathing mechanism, and gases exchange in plants. These are the learning outcomes for the chapter. First, students should be able to outline the structure of the human respiratory system. Students should know and understand the function of hemoglobin, the respiratory pigment in human. Students also should be able to understand and briefly explain breathing mechanism and its control in human, oxygen dissociation curves of hemoglobin, myoglobin, and fetal hemoglobin. Understand and briefly explain Bohr effect. Understand and briefly explain the structure and the function of stomata. And also, a student should be able to briefly describe the mechanism of stomata opening and closing based on several hypotheses. Respiratory system in human in close conjunction with the circulatory system is responsible for supplying all blood cells with essential oxygen and removing potentially harmful carbon dioxide from the body. Okay. The main point is to inhale oxygen, supply the body with oxygen, and also exhale or take out the carbon dioxide out of the human body. Air enters the body mainly through the nostrils. The nostril lead to the nasal cavity, what we call it throat, and also windpipe to our trachea. And the trachea split into two airways known as bronchi. Each bronchi takes air to the one lung. Okay, we have two lungs, so you have two bronchi, one for one side, the another for another side. And then bronchi divide into a smaller tube called bronchioles. In the lung, exchanges of gases take place in alveoli, which is a tiny sac. It is moist. It is inside your lung. These are the anatomy of our respiratory system, and we can see we can start here. The nasal cavity, and the air flow through the nostril into the trachea and then to the bronchiole, into the bronchi and bronchioles, and at the end the gases exchange happen in alveoli. Okay, it is a tiny air sac inside your lungs. Lungs, the two sponge-like lungs fill most of the chest cavity and are protected by ribs. The essential function of the lungs for gases exchange to take place. Oxygen in and expelling waste, which is the carbon dioxide. Okay. Alveoli, like I said before this, it is air sacs of lung, inside the lung, where the gases exchange happen. Alveoli provide huge surface area for gases exchange. Okay. Oxygen pass from the air into the alveoli and into the blood by diffusion. And carbon dioxide diffuses from the blood into the alveoli, and then you exhale out the carbon dioxide, expelling waste. The waste is carbon dioxide. Okay, these are the lungs, and this is alveoli. Okay. Hemoglobin. Hemoglobin is the pigment in the red blood cell. responsible for transporting oxygen and some of carbon dioxide in its circulation. Okay? The structure of hemoglobin is well adapted to transport oxygen efficiently. It is a complex conjugated protein and quaternary in nature. It consists of 4 globular polypeptide chains, and each polypeptide chain has no protein prosthetic called hem. Hem gives the blood its color, the red color, when associated with oxygen. Oxygenation associating oxygen with hem. You should be able to know what is oxygenation and what is oxidation. Oxygenation and oxidation. Okay, they are not the same, essentially. Okay, these are the picture of a red blood cell. Inside the red blood cell, we have hemoglobin pigment. Red blood cell, the shape is biconcave shape. The cell contain no nuclei. The structure gives high surface area to volume ratio for more efficient gas exchange. So one of the main function of your circulation system, your blood, is to transport the gas. This is why respiratory system is well connected with circulatory system. Transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide in blood. Transport of oxygen. We start with oxygen. You inhale the oxygen. Only a small portion of oxygen can dissolve in plasma. 95% would bind to hemoglobin. Hemoglobin in red blood cells increases the ability of blood to transport larger quantity of oxygen. This is called cooperativity. It explains why hemoglobin can bind rapidly with oxygen molecules. When the first oxygen molecule binds to one hem and hemoglobin molecule change shape. The changes of shape facilitate the binding of oxygen to another hemoglobin. Okay, the one molecule of oxygen bind to hem, and then this hem will change the shape, and the next, you know that more oxygen will bind to the next hem group. Therefore, the binding can still occur even at a very low partial pressure of oxygen. Transport of blood and carbon dioxide in blood. Transport of oxygen and carbon dioxide in blood. Okay, we continue. When the oxygen partial pressure in the tissue is lower than alveoli, hemoglobin will release oxygen. Carbon dioxide is produced from cellular respiration in cells and diffuses into the blood capillaries. Okay, there are few ways how carbon dioxide transported out of the body, okay, by blood to the lungs and exhale out of the body. Okay, first, transport by red blood cells in the form of bicarbonate hydrogen carbonate ions. Okay. Second, carbon dioxide combined with hemoglobin in the red blood cell to form carbamino compounds, and then the next one, the third one, carbon dioxide dissolved in the blood plasma. Okay, we look at the point number 1. Transport by red blood cells in the form of bicarbonate hydrogen carbonate ions, 85%. Okay, 85% of carbon dioxide produced during tissue respiration diffused into red blood cell in the form of carbonic acid. Okay. Carbonic acid deassociates into hydrogen carbonate ion and the hydrogen ion. This process catalyzed by enzyme known as carbonic anhydrase. Okay, and then this ion, hydrogen carbonate ion, diffuse from red blood cell into plasma, and at the same time, chloride ion, Cl, diffuse into plasma into the red blood cell. This is known as chloride shift. Okay, and then the hydrogen carbonate ions carried to the lungs and converted to carbon dioxide molecules, and carbon dioxide molecules exhales out from the lung to the air. Okay, this about 85% of carbon dioxide transported out